I'll turn it over to Marlo and then Steve for their comments.
Good afternoon, everyone. Quick wildfire overview is of 10:30 today, August the 14th. There are 79 active wildfires in Saskatchewan, and of those fires, 6 are categorized as contained, 11 not contained, 40 ongoing assessment, and 22 are listed as protecting values. As of this time this year, we've had 466 wildfires, which is above the 5-year average of 372. We have seen some widespread precipitation in the north over the last 24 hours, so we are seeing improved conditions, and Steve will get into that in a moment. With those improved conditions, the fire ban has been removed as of 11 p.m. Wednesday, August 13th. The fire ban was revoked due to the improved conditions. The fire ban had been put on in the province is lifted on all areas and all crown lands located north of the provincial forest boundary and up to the Churchill River. We still do have a number of evacuations. There are 4 communities that are under evacuation order and another one that has evacuated their priority 1 and priority 2 individuals. Those communities are the northern hamlet of Jans Bay, the Plonge Reserve, Pachinak English River First Nation, and the northern village of Pine House have evacuation orders in place. The northern village of Beauval has evacuated and remains evacuated, some of their priority 1 and priority 2s. And 4 other communities have had their evacuations orders lifted, and residents have started to or have returned home. Those communities are the resort subdivision of Lac La Plonge, the resort subdivision of Little Amiot Lake, Isla Cross, Canoe Lake, and Canoe Narrows. There's an estimated 1,100 individuals that are still evacuated in the province at this point in time. And anyone that is looking for assistance for evacuation support or the financial support, we do just want to remind everyone that they can call our helpline at 1-855-559-5502, and that's from 8 to 5. Our recovery task team continues to work with communities that were impacted by the wildfires, and we have had individuals up in the Denair Beach area even as of this week. We have about 500 individuals that have accessed the Resiliency Center that has been set up in Denair Beach, and we have a number of organizations that are at that one-stop shop, and they include SGI, PDAP, the Saskatchewan Health Authority, Social Services, Red Cross, and Samaritan's Purse, all there to help answer questions and give guidance as those that were impacted by wildfire work through the recovery phase. Cleanup and debris management in Denair Beach, and the community has contracted contractors to do that work. Started on July 23rd, and approximately 100 of the 216 lots have had debris removed, and that work continues, but they are making great headway. With that, I will turn it over to Steve to go into a little bit more detail in regards to the fire activity and the resources.
Thanks, Marlo. As Marlo discussed earlier, over the last 3 to 4 days, all areas of the northern forest have received between 5 and 20 millimeters of rain. That has increased our ability to contain these fires and accomplish more, and has also reduced the risk of these fires to local communities and infrastructure. As a result, the ditch fire, the shoe fire, and the wolf fire are all now listed as contained status, which means that we do not expect them to have any further growth or expansion at this time. Crews continue to work on mopping those up. At this time, there are no highway closures related to wildfire. There are some advisories for potential smoky conditions, but no longer any closures. And as a result of this change in conditions, we have released our air tankers that we have been receiving support, 2 of them from Quebec. 2 of our heavy helicopters have now been released as well. We have renewed the Canadian Armed Forces contingent of 300 firefighters, but have released their 3 helicopter support aircraft at this time. And our Australian partners are heading home after a long deployment here in Saskatchewan, but still remaining on the fire line. We have support from Quebec, Parks Canada, Ontario, Yukon, Mexico, and North Dakota. So we continue to make progress, and as opportunities present itself, we will communicate those with communities for possible opportunities for folks to return home, and also to reduce these fires and their impacts. We will also look and continue to look at opportunities to return some of these crews that may have other priorities, and continue to work on these until these fires are fully contained in all areas of the province.
Thank you, Steve. We will now go to questions. So if you have a question, please use the raise hand function, or you can put your question in the chat. I would like to remind everyone that before you ask your question, please identify yourself and what outlet you're from. And we are going to stop at 2 p.m. So I will first go to Chris V.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Kara. Chris Vandenbrinkle with Global News. So, Steve, you talk about these 3, I believe they're the 3 largest fires in the province now being contained, the Ditch, Shoe, and Wolf. Can you talk to us about that designation and what that means? Are there still type 3s or anybody like that involved in making sure it stays contained, or how does that work?
So the definition of contained means that we do not expect under these conditions the fire to grow in size. So if it won't grow in size, it also does not pose any new additional risks. But that does not mean the fires are out, and it does not mean that activity has stopped. It just means that we can get type 1s, type 2s, and type 3s on contained fire line because it is more secure. We can make more headway. Likely the tactics will change. You won't see the need for heavy water bombers, for instance, or heavy helicopters because they're better behavior, and that's why we're releasing those type of assets. But we are retaining our type 2 and type 3 and type 1 support from outside the province to continue to work on containment of these fires and the other ones that are still burning today in the province.
Thanks, Steve. We'll now go to Jillian M.
Hi, I'm Jillian Massey with 980 CJME. I was just wondering if you could paint us a little bit of a picture of what the rest of this fire season is going to look like. You've talked a little bit about releasing some of these supports that we've brought in. Can we expect things to relax with this fire season for the rest of the year?
We'll still deal with the weather as it comes. We have a cooler, wet period right now. At this time of year, we'll also see the days are actually getting shorter, and we're getting better night temperatures, which are helping the fires. So we would expect it in a normal end of fire season, having these fires, make progress towards containment, some ultimately to be called out as we get into the fall. And as that happens, we will be able to release first external supports and then ultimately our own supports. However, if we still need them, we will extend our own staff and our own crews here in Saskatchewan. And if we still need external support, we will indeed call it and use it as long as it's required.
Thank you, Steve. Ashwarya.
Hi, Ashwarya with CBC. I just wanted to ask, with the fire ban lifted, do you have any concerns about new fires starting as people resume those activities like campfires and ATVs and such?
Yes, we've seen a relief in fire, which means that because of the precipitation, the risks of starting a new fire, for instance, from a campfire, from a spark, is reduced. In the coming days, it could warm up and dry out. So people still need to be cautious. We still have to recognize that the majority of our fires this year were human caused. that led to the situation we're in. So people still need to be cautious. They still need to follow best practices, whether they're in a park or outside of a park, on making sure that we don't start any fall fires in addition to the fires we've already had this year.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Steve. Aaron S., please.
Hi, thanks for taking our questions. Aaron Sousa with the Canadian Press. I'm just wondering, Steve, if you can clarify, you mentioned that the Australian firefighters are headed home. Could you just clarify how long they had been deployed to Saskatchewan?
I don't have the exact date of arrival, but they've been here approximately, they've had 2 tours, so about 4.5 weeks total.
Chris B.
Steve, taking a look at the northwest part of the province, how much rain did they receive, and are the muskeg and Buell fires still posing a threat?
Well, those fires are not yet fully contained. That area of the province, specifically in the Beauval area and some of that central west side, has received the least, but still has received rainfall over the last 3 days. If we go farther north, for instance, to the Park Fire by Laloche, we're seeing rainfalls closer to the order of 20 millimeters over the last 3-4 days. And the east side of the province has received more rainfall than the west. So it's really allowing us to shift our efforts on the fires that still pose the most risk and contain the ones that are in that stage, and ultimately to prevent any further wildfire impacts for this season.
Thanks, Steve. Going into more follow-ups here, Jillian M.
Hi, Steve. What's the biggest challenge that the crews are facing out there right now?
Well, I'd say that the biggest challenge they're facing is they're tired. It's been a long season. Some of them are having to return to school here shortly. We're also seeing that, again, some of them are on their 4th, 5th, 6th assignment. So the change in fire behavior is welcomed by the crews because they can be more productive. It's not as high risk. It's not as problematic for them. So when fires are really busy, they may go and spend the whole day working on a corner of a fire to keep it from spreading, only to come back the next morning and realize that all their work has gone and the fire has moved beyond it, and they start all over again. So they can make significant progress, but it's been a long season without a doubt. And we see those impacts as, again, with our staff and also with some of the resources that come in. We'll see those dwindle over time because other province will be in the same position we are, of end of season, people going back to work, people going back to school, and some of those situations. So those resources will kind of slow down over the coming season into the fall.
Ashwarya.
If they are tired and I'm assuming there's a lot of type 3 work to be done with mopping and cleanups. Correct me if I'm wrong. Why not keep the 300 armed forces firefighters that are type 3 that can provide that support and additional help if there are others who are tired?
So as we mentioned earlier, that we did extend the type 3 firefighters for another 2 weeks in Saskatchewan, but we did return their support aircraft. We are not, because we can get access to these fires on the ground, we do not need that helicopter support, but we are retaining the 300 military firefighters in addition to our local type 3 firefighters.
Oh, thanks for clarifying.
Crispy.
Steve, taking a look at this fire season as a whole, I know you've been around these fires a long time. Is this the worst fire season you've ever experienced?
We would say that from an impact perspective, starting early, when we consider 38 communities were evacuated at some point, so that is more communities in 2015, and the area that was impacted by fire this year very much concentrated in the southern half of the northern forest, which is where the bulk of our population resides in the forest. So in past years, large fires may have only threatened 1 or 2 communities. those same fires have obviously threatened many, many communities. And we've seen one of the largest losses of homes and structures in a number of years, and that's at Denier Beach and East Trout Lake.
Aaron S., please.
There's a blank foul.
Hi, thanks for taking our follow-ups. I'm just wondering, in terms of, dealing with these fires, Saskatchewan has had a lot of crews in from elsewhere, and I'm sure you know that Atlantic Canada is seeing some pretty intense fires right now. So I'm just wondering if Saskatchewan is planning to send resources there.
Well, we'll make resources available once we no longer have the need. But also remember that there's other parts of Canada that instead of sending resources to Saskatchewan as they have been, we'll be able to provide those resources to our partners in the Far East. That includes resources like the water bombers from Quebec that we no longer need, may very well return to that province and then get reassigned to help their partners east of them. We made our partners in Newfoundland and New Brunswick know what we're releasing, so they have the opportunity to potentially get those resources shifted to them. And in the coming, days to weeks, if there are resources we don't need that can be sent east, we'll make that known to them in case that's an option for them.
Thanks, Steve. Jillian M.
Steve, I was just wondering if maybe you could speak to, have there been any problems with scammers coming into places like Denier Beach, pretending to be contractors, that sort of thing, like they did in Jasper last year?
Marlo, would you have an answer for that?
I can tell you that we're aware of the situation in Jasper, but there has been no reported scammers or fraud attempts at fraud that have come up to my desk. It's not something that has been reported to us, but if it does occur, of course, we'll be engaging the RCMP to help alleviate or at least mitigate those incidents.
Thanks, Jillian. I'm not seeing any other hands raised at this time, so I'm just checking for a last call.